We're here at Portland Nursery on Division Street, and I'm with Sarah. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, good.
And today we're going to be talking about terrariums because, you know, I think a lot of us that are of my age, perhaps, not yours, remember that in the 70s there was this big thing with these massive jars and the lids, and you'd make them perfect, and supposedly they were supposed to, you know, live in there. And this, though, is kind of the next step, the evolution of terrariums, and it's really pretty easy and fun.
Yeah, and it actually has taken on a whole artistic side of its own, where it really is a work of art to create some of the different terrariums, and so many different books and different shows have come out about them.
So let's first of all talk about the containers. I see a mason jar kind of here. I would have never thought of that, but tell us why you could use that, and then talk about the different varieties of containers.
Okay, well, we have a bunch of different containers here. I chose this one because it's something that can be repurposed, that a lot of people potentially have already in their house, and it can be a really good kids craft, Christmas gift. You know, I just figured it was something that everyone could kind of relate to.
Yeah.
So, and I picked these little guys just to make, I like a simpler look to terrariums, so we'll see how that turns out.
And Sarah, even with this like vase wall container, really you can almost use anything to make a little type of terrarium.
Yeah, I think that so many different types of containers are being brought into the plant world, and it's really cool to see what people come up with.
So once you decide on the container, and we should say that you suggest it being at least this kind of clear, because that helps with the sun getting in and stuff.
Yeah, you do want to have a clear glass so that the light can get through and the plant can absorb it. But in that same breath, you don't want to have them exposed to as much sun as a normal plant would, because the
all of a sudden you'll have a tiny little greenhouse in there.
Yeah, all the heat that's just kind of radiating in there. I did have one that was a succulent that I put right in a full sun window, and
how'd that work out?
Well, it did go pretty well. It grew so fast that I got really disappointed because I had to pull it out.
So now, once you make the decision, this is the container I want, then what's the first step?
So on the bottom, you're going to want to have something for drainage, because there's no drainage hole in the bottom. That's really important when you're making one. And you're going to want to have, a pretty good amount of the bottom be drainage. So we're going to aim to have about the bottom half to a third be the soil. So of that, I would say, probably about a third of that you're going to want to have for drainage. So I'm choosing to use some darker colors for the base.
Okay. And again, this is part of the fun of the creativity of it, is you can really use whatever colors you find and what you want to do.
Yeah, and then we have a ton of different colors of sand.
Yep. So this is your layer of drainage. Yeah,
because the water is going to sit down in there, and without some drainage, the plant's roots are going to be a little too wet.
Yeah.
So that's, as you can see, the water can really settle in there. And I think I'm going to throw a little bit more in there just to be safe.
And then what goes on top of this layer?
On top of that, we're going to want some charcoal.
Okay. And the purpose of that?
That clarifies the water, keeps it from smelling bad. Yeah. It's a water purifier. So.
That makes perfect sense, because the whole thing with charcoal is it does purify water. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so how much of that do you put on? Just like a layer?
Not too much. Just enough to make sure that the water that's in there is going to be hitting the different charcoal.
So now I'm assuming that on top of this goes the soil?
Actually, we're going to put in the plant next.
Okay, why is that?
Well, it's just a little bit easier since we're in a jar to be able to...
A tiny jar with a small opening.
Yeah, we can get it in there, get it all situated, and then actually have the soil come around it. Well, actually, we're going to be using sand because this is a succulent.
So that's because of the plant. Like if you were using a different plant, you might want to put some soil in first, right? Okay.
Yes.
And then you're just pouring it in there, aren't you?
Just pouring it in there, and it'll kind of settle around there itself. I put it off to the side because that's just kind of a little bit more artistic, I think, to have. So notice that's all going in there.
Yeah.
A lot of times it helps to have like a paintbrush or something to kind of...
Just to clean off the tops?
Yeah, which I don't have
That's
today.
all right. It's still adorable. Now, what are you adding there?
Now I'm just going to add some bigger rocks that are just really decorative. I like a natural color because I think it offsets the plants really well, but you can really pick any different kind of rock. We have a bunch. And then just got some little embellishments here, something to give a little bit of height, and voila.
And that's that fun. You know, I think the great thing about this is, like you said earlier, they make great Christmas gifts. They're fun to do with kids. It really is a fun and easy project to start. And if you want more information, certainly go to either of the Portland nurseries. They have a great selection of products. And you can go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.